All right, welcome back to Real Talk with Social K. You already know how we do it here. No filters, no performance, just real conversation between you and me. Today we're stepping into emotional maturity, part 3, and this one hits home for a lot of people. The habit of fault finding and the path back to maturity. So let's get into it. Why some people always find something wrong. You ever notice how some folks can find the negative in any situation? Man, you can hand them a lottery ticket and they say, why the number so small? Some people just don't see life the way it's supposed to be. They're not looking for understanding. They're looking for something to criticize. And here's the truth. Fault finding is not a personality trait. It's a coping mechanism. You know, people do it because it makes them feel in control. It distracts them from their own flaws, and it gives them a temporary sense of superiority. It also it keeps them from having to grow. It's like emotional Febreze. It covers the smell, but the mess is still there. I got a neighbor who always criticizing people, calling everyone an idiot because he doesn't agree with their views. And in his mind, he's always right. I try to avoid conversations with him because I know there's going to be a complaint about something or someone coming out of his mouth soon enough. And even if he attempts to say something positive, it don't come out that way. You know, I told him once, I said, yo, your life must be miserable as hell because all you do is complain. He said, nah, I'm very happy. My life is very happy. I don't complain unless I have a reason to complain. Now, don't get me wrong. He's a good dude, but he always finding fault in other people. Not with himself, but other people, you know. And I think there's something mentally wrong with the guy, personally. But, you know, other people, I guess, he got people convinced that he's sane. I don't know how that happens, but okay. But maybe I shouldn't say that. That's just me trying to rationalize the situation, I guess. But let me break this down to you where fault finding really comes from. Fault finding usually comes from insecurity. People who don't feel good about themselves try to feel better by pointing out what's wrong with other people. Fear of being judged, so they judge first. It's like emotional self-defense, except nobody was attacking them. Lack of emotional vocabulary. Some folks don't know what to say. I'm overwhelmed. I'm disappointed. I feel ignored. So instead they say, you're wrong. You're doing it wrong. You always mess up. You know, it's not maturity. It's miscommunication wearing a tough guy jacket, basically. Why fault finding feels powerful but isn't? Well, let me tell you something like this. This is real talk here. Fault finding gives people a fake sense of power, and it's like standing on a chair and calling yourself tall, but you're not tall. You just elevated by something temporary. And the moment the chair gets kicked out from under you, boom, back to reality you go. So people who criticize and everything think they're being honest. Nah, they just being loud. Honesty without empathy is just hostility with good grammar. And here's what that really means. You know, honesty by itself isn't automatically helpful. A lot of people think, I'm just being honest. I'm just telling the truth. Or I'm just keeping it real. But the truth is, if the truth is delivered like a punch instead of a message, it stops being helpful and starts being harmful. Honesty is not a free pass to be reckless. You know, empathy is what makes the honesty usable. Empathy doesn't mean sugarcoating. It doesn't mean being soft. It doesn't mean avoiding the truth. Empathy just means I'm telling the truth in a way that you can actually receive it. And the difference between throwing someone a tool versus handing someone a tool, one injures, one empowers. And without empathy, honesty becomes an attack. When someone says honest, when someone says something honest, but with no care for how it lands, it becomes criticism. It becomes judgment, blame, or emotional aggression. And we know a lot of people who are like that. That's why the line says hostility with good grammar. It looks like honesty, it sounds like honesty, but the intention behind it is to hurt, not help. It's basically, I'm going to insult you, but I'm going to word it nicely so it sounds intelligent. That's not maturity, that's emotional violence in a suit and tie. Empathy plus honesty equals growth. And when you combine honesty with empathy, you get clarity, accountability, respect, understanding, actual change. And this kind of honesty that builds people instead of breaking them down. You know, here's a. I'll give you an example of honesty without empathy. You're irresponsible and you're always messing things up. Now, here's honesty with empathy in play. This habit is creating problems for you. So let's take a look at how we can fix it. Same truth, different delivery. One attacks a person, the other addresses the problem. Have you ever met someone who corrects you on things that don't even matter? You say, I'm going to be there in a minute. And they say something stupid like, actually, a minute is 60 seconds. I'm like, sir, if you don't sit your behind down somewhere, I'm trying to live life, not take a math test. Oh, that's an example of someone who's trying to be condescending, controlling, and not helpful at all. So they do stuff like that. Um, so, how to deal with the fault finder without losing your pace? Well, here's a mature approach. One thing to keep you grounded: don't match their energy. If they scan for faults, don't scan back. Like, just because somebody is finding faults in you, you don't have to find faults in them and then try to point them out like they doing to you. But I know a lot of people attempted to do that. They're gonna do it anyway because you ain't gonna be talking about me, and I ain't gonna talk about you back. That just ain't gonna happen. I mean, like, what makes you think you perfect and everybody else has got flaws, like you God or something like that, or God is? You ain't all that. So, you know, sometimes we want to put people in their place, but that ain't always the right thing to do. Sometimes we just got to fall back and, just let them be who they going to be if you want to mature in the right way. Separate the person from the behavior. Instead of saying something like, you're negative or you're being negative, try saying something like this. This approach is making things harder. You're addressing the issue, not taking you're not attacking the identity of the person. Set boundaries without being dramatic. You could say, I hear you, but I'm not going to engage in this constant criticism. That's not weak, that's emotional discipline. Or something like this, don't take it personally. Fault finding is about them, not you. You just happen to be standing close enough to catch the spray. I know it may be difficult to change your way of speaking to people who come at you the wrong way. Using different wording to address behavioral issues or the underlying stress of a problem might seem foreign to you because years of conditioning from your environmental upbringing, if it applies to you. But that's maturity in itself. Um, the path back to maturity. Here's the part that most people don't want to hear. Maturity is not about being right. It's about being responsible. Responsible for your tone, responsible for your reactions, responsible for the energy you bring into the room. And fault finding is easy. We do it all the time. It's easier to find fault in things or complain about stuff than it is to just let things be and accept it for the way it is. Accept people for the way they are. We always trying to uh, change people to fit the way we want them to be or the way we see them. And that's not the right way to be. Growth is hard, but growth is where peace is. That's where you get your peace of mind. Because why would you worry about what other people is doing, what other people are looking like, or anything like that when all you have to do is ease your mind by worrying about yourself? And if you paying attention to your flaws and correcting the things that you might not feel comfortable about yourself with, then you ain't got time to worry about what other people is doing, and you ain't got to worry about trying to fix other people. Fix yourself first. Fix yourself. That's where it all starts. Right here, right at home with you. Another, you know, something else to think about. Some people think being calm means you're weak. No, calm means I'm not about to raise my blood pressure for your entertainment. Let them think whatever they want. You're protecting your peace, not auditioning for theirs. So, fault finding is a habit, and habits can be broken. Maturity is a choice, and choices can be made daily. You don't have to fix people. You don't have to argue with them. You don't have to match their negativity. You just have to stay grounded, stay clear, and stay in control of you, because that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Everybody else and all of their faults and all of this other nonsense, that ain't got nothing to do with you. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share today. If this hits you, sit with it for a minute. Let it breathe, let it settle. And when you're ready, take that next step, whatever it looks like for you. If you're feeling this real talk, go ahead and smash that like button. I'll catch you on the next one. This is Real Talk with Social K. Appreciate you for listening. Stay grounded, stay honest, stay real. I'm out.